Ugh, open the blind up. Light in here. Lifeless. Absolutely lifeless. Okay. All right. So, I'm on yet again for another live stream. This time, I'm going to make it worth it. All right. Now, see this right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you a visual of what you can and cannot do on YouTube, just to clarify that before I even get into what I'm going to get into, because I can do this now that I have the old phone. You're saying to yourself, oh, you have to, well, I do, but it's not in the material, it's more mental. So let me find it. You know what? I'm not going to even worry about this. No idea what. Okay, I'm on a different account. That's why. Okay. So anyway, I don't want to get into it today. What I wanted to talk about today. Okay, September 1st, 2022, yes. What I want to chat about today is really proving my point of you can go against people in your life. Anyone that is not your family, anyone that comes and goes, like, I don't know, a colleague or a worker or, I don't know, a, a, a teacher that you have, a teacher that you do have. And by all means, you can go against someone who is and who happens to be your therapist. The point of a therapist is to be honest and authentic, more than you probably usually would. This bothers me. This annoys me. This blocks our connection. And here it is. This is the truth. With a therapist, you have to express in order to express. You have to have the storms and the rain before you get the rainbow, before you get peace and love and connection. And starting in July of 2023, when the North Node moves into Aries, it follows the North Node in Taurus, which is about what you value. And North Node Aries is a fire sign that is absolutely going to agree with that and going to go at it full force. I don't want to get too specific, but I do want to address some things, some very, very important things on this live stream. The first thing that I just want to make loud and clear. Actually, I am going to look it up for all of you. So, I did not look this up before. It says right here, in Google. Let's address what it means to add salt to wounds. When you hear putting salt on wounds, know that it is only a metaphor for making an already bad situation even worse. It cannot be taken and done word for word, as the wound may become more inflamed, and the microorganisms might cause an infection instead of eliminating it. The fact that I should even have to make this kind of an argument is ridiculous. I really never imagined myself having to go against somebody who happens to be in a position to be my therapist. I really never imagined it, and I really don't want to. However, if you're not honest, then it's not going to help the situation. If you don't own up to it and what you feel and what you think and get it out of your, off your chest, then it's like an attachment that you have, that you sit with. A common example of this is, well, I'm not going to give the example. But if you are holding on to something that you really want to get across to somebody, but you want to be nice and you want to, and I want to use, actually, I want to quote that. You want to be nice. You want to be, nicey. You don't want to argue with that person. You don't want to, I don't know, do this or do that. And you just want to push an issue under the rug, and therefore holding on to the issue, and therefore attaching on to that issue. Now, attachment doesn't have to be bad. It goes both ways. There's good, there's healthy attachment, and unhealthy attachment, just like detachment. It's not all good or all bad. That is a narrow focus to look at. Now, I still have to clarify this, and I feel super terrible for doing it because I don't want to be a person who brings stuff up from the past and continues to bring it up and address it. I don't want to be that person. But I do want to resolve this. The fact is, now, when I was sitting in a session not too long ago, we were talking, and I brought up the metaphor adding salt to wounds. And his response was, don't quote me on this, please, that adding salt to wounds heals it or makes it better. I'm not too sure about just what I'm saying, what's coming out of my mouth. But, no. I mean, there's a common truth and there's common knowledge that that's not the case. Somebody doesn't say, don't add salt to my wounds, and mean don't make me feel better depending upon the tone that they're saying it in. You know, I have to bring this up. When I was in with, as much as I hate bringing it up, I will. When I was in with Mr. Tyson, this is the kind of thing that I was really ticked off by. And it was just one of my pet peeves. If anyone reminds me of Mr. Tyson, or better yet, my 5th grade teacher, then we have a problem. That is one of my pet peeves. I will not have that. I should be the only person who reminds me of either of those people through what I say and what I do. Case in point. Is the sky not blue? Is the earth not brown? Is the earth not a ball? Is there not wind? Is there not birds? Is there not sun? Before I go into singing Where Is It Written by Barbra Streisand, which I feel would be a very, very good expressor at this time, given the fact that the lyrics were perhaps switched around. And I'm not going to play the song for you. Because that's as much substance, keyword, like when expressing somebody or when expressing somebody, either way, there has to be substance to it. There has to be a strong feeling and strong backup. Backup, well, books, videos, somebody else, songs, evidence to support whether you are expressing or expressing somebody or a situation. There has to be that evidence. There has to be substance. It can't be barely, it can't be a little bit. Unless that little bit or barely is enough and it is strong. Now, there are some. Okay, I shouldn't have to sit on a live stream and clarify this and defend this. This is objective. Adding salt to wounds makes wounds worse. If you went to the ocean and you put salt water on your wound, it would make it worse. If your mouth is dry and you're thirsty and you drink salt water, well, it's not going to help. It's going to cost you. And I've seen it in a couple documentaries. Adding ointment or a Band-Aid to wounds makes it better, heals it. That's the fact. That is the fact. I mean, I can't go into any more detail or any more explanation. I mean, the fact is the fact. It doesn't come from me. It's just the fact. Okay? The fact is the fact that metaphors and words exist for a reason. You can't just take a metaphor and switch the meaning of it because of an analogy that you're trying to use, which it's not accurate. You can't take you can, but and I hate to be extreme, but actually I'm going to give myself permission to be extreme. On the receiving end of a given situation, it can rub somebody the wrong way. And I don't know, maybe it did rub me the wrong way. The same, you know, like, similar scenario was when I was in with Mr. Tyson, and he was saying, well, you know what? Bosses fire employees for the pettiest reasons on the planet. That's not what he said. But that's not true. If you come in with a certain pair of shoes, if you come in with, I don't know, if you're late one time, not a big deal. Now, I don't need to get into the Captain Obvious, truths. I don't need to get into the facts. But the truth is, don't go to the trouble to fire somebody for a petty reason. That's ridiculous. Nobody fires somebody just because of what they're wearing. Now, maybe if they were, I hate to bring, and here's what I'm going to say. I'm pretty sure that most people are not the low road. And notice I use the low road of Hyacinth Bouquet. Think of Hyacinth Bouquet. Think of Keeping Up Appearances. She would probably fire somebody for what they're wearing. When I was little, I kind of got off on the little things, and I was critical, like, your shoes, wear this, do that. That was me when I was little. I wanted things a certain way, and I wanted to be in charge. Sometimes I watch myself and I think to myself, really? If I was there, then I would be honest and say, you know what? I'm here to tell you that while it feels really, really good on your end, put yourself on the receiving end of the situation and see how that feels when somebody is telling you, bossing you what to do. And I'm making a bigger deal because, I was having fun. I was playing around. That's that. Okay, that's what that was. Try adding salt to, now I've never done this, but try adding salt to wounds and see what happens. You can't skew something, you can't twist something and make it into your own narrative for an analogy that you're trying to use, which is not going to make a client pull closer to you. Now, I really hate to sound judgmental. I hope that I don't sound judgmental. But I don't want to, I really don't want to say this. I don't want this to come out of my mouth, but it's coming out of my mouth because it's the truth. Just, there are, there are obvious judgments that people have over others. There are things that people say and do that no matter what level they're at, you might be taken off guard by. This is something that I was taken off guard by. So, nobody's perfect. Nobody is perfect. There is no perfect. And I'm here to make that loud and clear. But I'm here to say that, a fact is a fact. That's the first thing that I want to say. And I'm going to clarify that. Adding salt to wounds does not help the wound. It makes the situation worse. Period. There's no buts. There's no if or ands about it. That is the metaphor, and that's what it means. Period. Now, I shouldn't have to defend something against somebody if it is common knowledge, if it's a logical truth. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's really, really ridiculous. And the same thing went with, months ago when I was in with, who. It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I almost feel guilty that I didn't broadcast myself more with what I felt and what I thought and what I believed. Now, the next big thing that I want to get at is we as humans really do have not that animals don't have the power, but just to say, we as humans can make conscious choices whether or not to do this or that. I was talking about some situations make me anxious, some situations are unexpected. That I don't like those situations. And I don't want to go through the whole fear and I can't remember what I said. And I was talking about when I went down a water slide. When I was at Wisconsin Dells. Let me be absolutely clear with you. I will never, ever, 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 ever go down a water slide again. Unless, I get the truth from somebody else. But, things are a certain way. I can choose whether or not to go down that water slide or whether I want to go down the water slide. I can step away and walk away from the situation like, nope, I am not willing to do this because I am not willing to have my day ruined because of this and not willing to go through this experience. This makes me uncomfortable. This makes me anxious. This doesn't feel right. I have a feeling. Trust my gut. Think of all the things that Sonia Chiquette has said. I'm not going to do this. You could pay me so much money in the world. You could pressure me to my end. I will never do it. I will never compromise. I will never budge. I will never give in, and I will never have my power taken away from me by somebody else. Because that's not what I want to engage in. It's not my circus and not my monkeys. I will walk away, and I don't care if I feel the guilt or disappointment like I should have done this, I should have done that. I'd rather feel that feeling than go through it and, take a risk that backfired and stabbed me in the back. Some risks are necessary and some risks are not necessary. A water slide, it's a water slide. Your life does not depend on a water slide. Your very existence and worth and love and care that others have for you does not depend upon a water slide. You don't have to go down water slides if you don't want to go down water slides, point blank. And then he went on to say, there are some situations that are unexpected and you need to work out how you're going to deal with the situations and the anxiety in a way that I wish that was broadcasted onto a YouTube video with somebody talking behind the scenes and closed captions playing with images on screen. You can be a truth talker, but you have to get you know, specific. I'm not a fan of when people say things that I already know. I'm not a fan of when people say things that are so stale and dry. I've heard it before, and they are inaccurate. That is a really, really big thing. You need to be accurate about what you're saying and how you're saying it when you're around me. You cannot exaggerate it or the other word or undermine the situation. But I think more so make it out to be something that it is not. No, 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 no. You know what? I'm here to tell you, guess what? I'm not the one doing that. I'm not the one acting that way. I'm not the one making it into that. You are the one doing that. You are the one who perceives it in a certain way. I'm not that person. Recognize that. Recognize where the other person is the one doing that and you are not. We all perceive things different ways, and that's just truth. Now, going back to what I was saying about dealing with anxiety in a situation, I was a little bit kind of like one of my feathers was just ruffled a little bit. Dealing with anxiety. Well, you know what? I'm going down a water slide at high top speed, which is really, really unlikely, and an independent variable. An independent variable. I can choose whether or not I want to do this. Guess what? I don't choose to do this. Independent. The dependent variable of the situation is, hey, I am safe. I have free, healthy boundaries that help me to feel better and free. And maybe I regret it. Maybe I regret staying small or not taking the risk. Guess what? I'd rather feel that than, have something go wrong, depending upon the situation. Now, if it was a new recipe, well, that'd be kind of a different story because I'm very open and adventurous and I want to try new things. If it is something which is as serious and no joke as going underwater and having the frightening experience of going fast down a water slide and then ending up in the water and not being able to breathe and being shocked, and then just it happening so quick and being just gasping for breath and it's something that startles the daylights out of me, and then suddenly getting up and then leaning on somebody for dear life. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but no. I don't have to experience that again. And that kind of situation, well, no. No, 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 no. There are situations like that. Going down a water slide is not one. What if somebody pressures you and what if you have to do it? Simple. Don't do it. Put yourself first. Put your values first before anybody else. Draw the line in the sand. And I don't have to be a sun in Aries to be able to tell you that. That is, you have to be accurate and know what you're saying. Like, is this really accurate for what I'm saying? Is going down a water slide accurate for the point that you're trying to make? I had that experience. Guess what? I, um, you know, spoke about it, and that's what happened because that came up in conversation. The lesson should be, okay, you know what? I tried that. You know, I you live and you learn. You try things, and sometimes they work out, and other times, no. Now I know what I know. It should be, you don't have to do this if it doesn't feel right for you. You don't have to go along with something if it doesn't feel right for you. If you have doubts. I mean, you're talking about going underwater and you're talking about ending up underwater and whether I'm going to be safe when I get out, you know, get into the water. I mean, this does not sound like a silly situation. This does not sound like one of those situations. I mean, if it's on land, if it's another one of those, I should not have to defend that. I should not have to argue about it. I don't want to be, a certain way if it means that I am not expressing my truth. It just so happened that I didn't feel like I do now. It just so happened that how I was feeling and what was coming to me very, very naturally, and what I naturally felt, what I naturally wanted in that situation was different than what I want now. So I hope that explains that. The word therapy means anything that soothes you, heals you, moves you, uplifts you, makes you feel better. There's certain issues to get into. There's certain issues that are just not necessary to get into. There is therapy, and then there is not therapy. I have a post on Facebook I made about the dark cloud. There is therapy, and then there is the dark cloud, which is not therapy. I just want to make that point, loud and clear. You could go into a session with somebody and not get too much out of it, but then maybe listen to a song and be so moved and uplifted by it. Well, that would be therapeutic. That would be considered therapeutic if it makes you feel a certain way. You can watch a video of someone on YouTube and feel moved and uplifted. Well, then it would be therapeutic. It's all a feeling and it is all an experience. That I guess I've changed and I've gained some stuff and I'm different coming out of the session as I was when I came into the session. I hope I'm not being nitpicky here. I really, really don't want to be nitpicky. The other thing, it's not really a big deal. I don't feel like it. Yeah. So, you know, Again, nobody is perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You have probably heard things that I have said. I have probably made rules and plans and laws and done things that you may not have agreed with. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that were the case. I'm not perfect either, and and I will gladly admit that. Now, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, here's another thing that I was going to say. I don't know. Sometimes dreams bring up certain things for us, certain feelings. I'm questioning to myself, what if you were to go through your reverse nodal return or reverse nodal transit? So, for example, I have my North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio. I'm talking 2012, 2013, the very, very beginning of 2014, when the North Node was in Scorpio, or Rahu in Scorpio, and K2 South Node in Taurus. How does that feel? Does it feel easier? Does it feel more relaxing, a coming home, a dropping in, or does it feel irritating? Does it feel like not my circus, not my monkeys? Does it feel like okay. Does it feel just, I don't know. I mean, I had a dream that I was afraid of a dog. I don't know, but I just remember the emotions at the time made me feel a certain way. And I'm being honest about that too. And I have to be honest about this too. When you're dealing with your nodal opposite, so my nodal opposite would be North Node Scorpio, is it better for you, or maybe is it not so better for you, as the person is moving into the very thing that you're moving away from? Interesting. So yeah, so it's kind of interesting when the nodes are opposite your nodes. When you're looking at somebody with your nodes opposite you, while you are going through certain nodes that are the nodal placements when you were born. Work smarter, not harder. That's what I want to say. Work smarter, not harder. That's all that I have for now. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching.